all praises, all praises to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. As we've been commanded by Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, to come out on these highways and hedges and to bid Yahweh's people to the marriage, right? This is what we are inclined to do, right? Before we get into this lesson, we're going to face our homeland of Jerusalem to the east and give all glory, all praises, all honor to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, to the whole elect of Israel, right? So, this is weighing on my spirit, and so, the title of this presentation is, Are You a Hypocrite? Are you a hypocrite? Right? And so, before I ask you that, I have to consider myself. Am I a hypocrite? All right? So, let's get the definition of a hypocrite according to the scriptures. Right? Right? So, hypocrite, godless, profane, a pretender, an actor. Right? So, the Bible defines a hypocrite as these terms, these definitions, as I just named, right? Okay? So let's go and see, if we are hypocrites, okay? Let's start at, let's go to 1 Corinthians, let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and 5. So we have to understand this, right? You know what I'm saying? We have to examine ourselves all the time, see if we in the truth, okay? Right? So this is 2 Corinthians 13 and 5. It says, examine yourselves, Israel, even including myself, because I have to hold myself accountable to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, or I will be a hypocrite, okay, and a reprobate. It says, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith, prove your own selves, Israel. Know ye not, it's like it says, know ye not your own selves, how that Mashiach Yahushua is in you, except ye be reprobate, right? It says, but I trust that ye shall know that we are not reprobates. So we're hoping that we're not reprobates, and we're hoping through the scriptures how the scriptures will measure and define our characters as not being reprobate and hypocrites. So if we, are doing any of this stuff, then we'll see exactly, what the scripture, defines us as. So let's go over and get some understanding about a hypocrite. A person that's all talk, right? All talk, ain't gonna do nothing. Talking loud, ain't saying nothing, okay? Right? So let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 1, and get Sirach chapter 1 and verse 29. It says, be not a hypocrite in the sight of man, and take good heed what thou speakest. So if you say something, right, you got to hold yourself accountable for that. As a brother, as a servant of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, as a friend of Mashiach Yahweh Shai. You can't be just spewing something out, you know what I'm saying? Saying all kind of stuff, not being held accountable, right? Okay. Let's go get some red letter, because Mashiach Yahushua would go in hard on the Pharisees and Sadducees, who were hypocrites, right? So let's go to Matthew chapter 23. Let's go to Matthew 23 and pick that up, right? We don't need to be hypocrites. And we'll see that Yahweh will kill us for that if we are, right? So this is red letter. This is Mashiach Yahushua. This is Matthew 23. From the top it says, then spake Mashiach Yahushua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. Yeah. All therefore, whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not, because they're hypocrites. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. Right? Let's jump down to verse 13. It says, "But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites." See that? What Yahweh is defining these dudes as, and these people as hypocrites. Always saying something and ain't never doing it. Ain't never around. Never hear from you. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then, right? What is all of that about? It says, "But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, for ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in." Right? Because you're a stumbling block. You know, if you're a hypocrite like that, always saying stuff and ain't doing nothing, all talk, all running off at the lip all the doggone time. Okay? Let's go back to the book of Sirach. Hypocrites. Let's go back to the book of Sirach, chapter 33. Let's go to Sirach 33 and 2. It says, "A wise man hateth not the law." Because the law tells you to love your brothers, you love yourself. How can you love your brothers, you love yourself, and you never talk to them? You don't know nothing about this man. How can you build with this man or this person if you never talk to him every now and then, never see you? You know, and you're going to be held accountable for that, because Yahweh has made it so easy with these cell phones, you know what I'm saying, and all this technology. Takes 30 seconds. No. Takes 5 seconds to send a text. Shalom, King. Shalom, Akwath. How long does that take? Right? And these hypocrites won't even do that. Okay? So this is Sirach chapter 33 and 2. It says, "A wise man hateth not the law, but he that is a hypocrite, therein is a ship in the storm." Because you all over the doggone place. You know, saying this, saying that, you know what I'm saying? Always, you know, encouraging people to do something, but you not gonna do it. Go and help that man. You know what I'm saying? If that man want to go 2 miles, go 4 miles with that man. But how could you know that man if you never, you know what I'm saying, are in contact with these people? How can you know these people, right? If you never contact them, you know, if you never reach out to these people. And then when people reach out to you, you know what I'm saying, right? You don't even reply back. What is that? Now we know we all are going through something. You know what I'm saying? According to 1 Peter 5, we all going through this. Nobody's immune to this. Okay? So there's no righteous excuse, you know, to reject your brother like that. Okay? Let's go to the book of Job. Let's go to Job 27. Hypocrites. This is what Mashiach called them, hypocrites. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I'm just a messenger. So if you're going to get cut by this lesson, right, you need to examine yourself, right? Because we know, you know what I'm saying, over in Hebrews 4 and 12. These words will cut you, right? If you are being defined, you know, if this is defining your character, right? You need to change that, right? So this is Job, chapter 27 and 8. It says, "For what is the hope of a hypocrite?" See that? "Though he have gained when Yahweh taketh away his soul." See that? You know what I'm saying? Yahweh will take your soul away from you because you're not doing the work of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai. Doing the work, you know what I'm saying, is including your brother consistently, you know what I'm saying, being with your brother. How can you strategize something? You know what I'm saying? You know, how can you strategize, you know, and develop a tactic, you know, as a well-oiled army, and you never hear from these people? Okay? That don't make no doggone sense. And this has to be brought out. So we see, you know, what Job just talked about, right? In terms of, you know, a hypocrite. Let's go to the book of Zephaniah. Israel is all talk. Can't stand people like that. Always talking, always running off at the lip, but ain't gonna do nothing. Cowards, hypocrites. So this is Zephaniah chapter 2, and from the top it says, gather yourselves together. See that? It says, gather yourselves together, right? Yeah, gather together, O nation not desired. So we're supposed to gather together regularly, consistently, not every now and then. What is all of that about? That don't make no damn sense. Again, you can't, strategize, you know what I'm saying, and have a successful tactic if you've never talked to these people. Let's go to Malachi 3. Ridiculous. Let's go to Malachi 3 and 16. It says, then they that feared Yahweh spoke often one to another. It says often. Not once a week, you know what I'm saying, or once every 2 weeks, a month, or whatever that is. What is all of that about? It says, they that fear Yahweh spoke often one to another, and Yahweh hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahweh, and that thought upon his name. Right? So when you're doing this, when you're reaching out to your brother and loving your brother as you love yourself, you're fearing Yahweh. You're doing the commandment of Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. And we're going to see that this, to love your brother is the second greatest commandment. Right? Let's finish this thing up. 17 it says, and they shall be mine, saith Yahweh of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them, as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. But look at this part of it. Look at 18. Then shall ye return and discern, because Yahweh is showing us who truly love Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, who truly understands, right? All that talk is cheap, right? Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked. Look at that. Between him that serve Yahweh and him that serve him not. So if you're not doing this consistently, the work of Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, you're wicked, according to the scriptures. And again, don't get mad at me. I'm just reading the book, right? Of Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. I'm the messenger. So if you're getting cut again, you need to change your ways, right? Let's go to 1 Timothy. Let's go to 1 Timothy 5. Because we see the days coming. We see Yahweh's not playing. But you are. If you're doing these things, if you're not being consistent, you know what I'm saying? Reaching out to brothers regularly, helping brothers, doing the work of Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. So this is 1 Timothy 5 and 8. It says, but if any provide not for his own, your brotherhood, especially for those of his own house. This is your house, your group, your camp. He have denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Look at that. Right? So according to the scriptures, an infidel, right, which is it's going to be in the blue letter, It's going to be G571, no faith, a non-believer. Right? So we have to bring this out so that people, you know what I'm saying, can be held accountable and have some oversight. This is confusion. And we know that Yahweh is not the author of confusion. Right? Okay? Let's go to John 15. Hypocrites. Let's go to John 15. We're going to pick up at verse 12. Look at this, y'all. And this is red letter, Mashiach Yahushua. It says, this is my command, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Look at this, Israel. Greater love have no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. See that? Look at that. You got to be willing to lay down your life, you know what I'm saying, in righteousness for your brother. Now, who would want to lay down their life for somebody that you don't even know these people? Like, who in the hell is this dude? I don't know him. When you try to reach out to them, you know what I'm saying, they don't reply back to you. You know, you try to reach out, you know what I'm saying? So, okay, fine. It's got to be the will of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shah, for brothers, you know what I'm saying, to understand this, you know, and to develop, you know what I'm saying, you know, the fear of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shah. Your brother, man. This is some serious stuff. We'll see that, you know, Yahweh, he don't, we understand, you know, prophecies and breakdown and dark parables, but we're going to see later that's not really important to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shah, like that, before loving your brother as you love yourself. Right? 14, it says, ye are my friends. Look at that. Ye are my friends if ye do whatsoever I command you. 15 says, henceforth I call ye not servants. Look at that. For the servant knoweth not what his master doeth, but I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known of you. This is a true friend. Right? And let me show you a true friend, right? Let me show you a true brother who feared Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shah. Let's go to Genesis 14. This is a true Yahweh fearing brother right here. We have to be this way. We have to emulate our forefather here, Abram. Yeah, look at Abram. Watch this. So this is Genesis chapter 14 and 13. It says, and there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Anar. And these were confederate with Abram. Watch this. 14, it says, when Abraham heard that his brother, look at that, was taken captive, he armed his trained servants born in his own house, 318, and pursued them until Dan. So Abraham, he didn't ask no questions. When he heard that his brother was in trouble, you know what I'm saying, he immediately, you know what I'm saying, went to go and help his brother. He didn't ask no questions. This is the true friend right here. This is the true brother right here. All Abraham knew that Lot, you know what I'm saying, was in trouble. And if you read the finish reading, you know what I'm saying, the chapter, you'll see, you know, that through Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shah, Abram was successful. You know what I'm saying? You know, but the concept and the point is how he loved his brother and was willing to die for his brother. Okay? Let's go over to Romans 15. Hypocrites. Right? So this is Romans 15 from the top. It says, we then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. Yes, your brother. Because some brothers are weaker than others, and so we build each other up in the spirit. You know? Right? It says, and and not to please ourselves. So we can't please ourselves by denying our brother like that. When you know your brother need help, you need to reach out to this man. Now, it's a difference, if the person you're saying, is not replying back to you, okay? But at least you tried to reach out to this person to help this person. So you've done your job. You know what I'm saying? According to Ezekiel 3. You tried to warn this brother or this sister, but they rejected that. So you've done your job. But you haven't done your job if you are not consistent, in trying to help your brother or help your neighbor or to help your friend consistently. Right? 2, it says, let every one of us please his neighbor for his good to edification. See that? 3, it says, for even Mashiach Habashah pleased not himself, but as it is written, the reproaches of them that reproach thee fell upon me. So your brother's issue is going to fall upon you to help this man out or this sister out. But how can you help this sister out, this brother out? Well, you never talk to him every now and then. And we'll see later, I'm saying, how our forefathers were consistent in reaching out to one another because they understood this concept. They weren't hypocrites, right? Let's go to Psalms 133. Let's go to Psalms 133. From the top. Look at this. It says, behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. That means coming together, being cohesive, of one mind, right? One spirit, one Lord, Mashiach Yahushua. And again, how can you do this if you don't even know these people? Over and Yahweh is so beautiful, what I'm saying? Over a dispensation of time, I can see, maybe a couple of weeks, whatever it is, but when you're going, months and years and you still, are just lethargic by helping. We need help in the ministry. Okay? Let's go to Matthew. It's some red letter. Let's go to Matthew 22. People just, being lethargic and being lazy. That's what it is. This is your first job, the ministry. It's your first job. Not your wife, not your job, not your daughter, not your son, none of that. Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai is our first mission. So this is Matthew 22, red letter here. This is Matthew 22 and 36. It says, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Yahweh said unto him, thou shalt love Yahweh thy power with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind, with all thy strength. This is the first commandment, Israel. Let's see what the second one is. And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as they love thyself. Look at that. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets, because the prophets died for us. Jeremiah, Ezekiel. And the law commands us to love our brothers as we love ourselves. If we're not doing this, we are denying Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. If we're not doing this consistently, right? Because then you fall into the to the realm, of disorder. Ain't no order with that. People are all over the doggone place. We read that earlier, how a hypocrite, how a hypocrite is like a ship in the waves. They're all over the doggone place. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Be not a hypocrite, Israel. Help your brother consistently. Not every now and then. So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 13 from the top. It says, though I speak with the tongue of men and of angels and have not charity. Now, charity in this context is talking about love. I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy, right? Look at this. And understand all, it says all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could move mountains and have not charity, I am nothing. See, it means nothing to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. See that? It says 3. It says, and though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing. So Yahweh, you don't give a damn about your breakdowns and all of that stuff and all of that if you're not helping your brother consistently. Means nothing. Now we know, the breakdowns are important and the prophecies and all of that stuff, but if they're not cemented in love, it means nothing. All right? 8, it says, charity never faileth, or love never faileth. But whether there be prophecy, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. Look at that. 13, it says, and now abideth faith, hope, charity, all these three. These three. But the greatest of these is charity. So the greatest of all of that is charity, or love, brothers and sisters. Okay? Come on back to Yahweh Shem Yahushua and get involved consistently. All right? This is John 13. John 13 and 34. This is red letter. Look at this. It says, a new commandment I give you, that ye love one another. Look at that, Israel. As I have loved you, that ye also love one another. See that? It says, but this shall all men know that ye are. It's like it. It says, by this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have loved one to another. How do they have love one to another? You know what I'm saying? We never hear from this person. Every now and then. Inconsistent, reprobate, hypocrite. That's what you are. Right? So let's see, what we're supposed to do regularly, all the time. Let's go to the book of Acts 15. And this is Paul and Barnabas. Let's see what these dudes did consistently. Let's go to Acts 15 and 35. It says, Paul also and Barnabas continued in Antioch, teaching and preaching the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushua with many others also. Watch this. It says, and some days after, Paul said unto Barnabas, let us go again and visit our brethren in every city, not some city, but in every city, right, where we have preached the word of Yahweh, and see how they do. See that? They didn't just forget about these people. They went back regularly, to edify and to check on people. And so now there is no excuse. There's no righteous excuse, man. We have these cars and all these, and these people, man, had goats and horses. They didn't have engines back then. You could fly, you know what I'm saying, and get you an Uber. Ridiculous, man. Right? So let's go to Hebrews. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 10, 25. It says, Hebrews 10, 25. It says, not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching. Right, that Yahweh's going to destroy this place right here. He'll destroy this world, right? So, I pray, that this presentation was edifying, to encourage you, to help the ministry. If you love Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, like you say you do, don't be a hypocrite. Help your brother consistently. Reach out. A text message takes less than 5 seconds. All right? So once again, I'm a face to our homeland of Jerusalem and give all glory, all praise, all honor to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. Shalom, Israel.